I'd like to call on stage Gadi Toen. Gadi is the partner. Hi, Gadi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very well.
Cool. Love the pictures in the background, the
With the
drawings,
kid.
the
Yeah,
painting. Yeah.
yes.
Um, so Gadi is the partner of Robert Bosch Ventures, which is the venture arm of Robert Bosch, which I'm sure everyone knows. And Gadi, over to you to continue the conversation and call your fellow speakers.
Great. Thank you, Gilly. And I think I'd like to also invite to this panel Yaron and Oliver. So those in charge, please bring them on. And what we'd like to do today, we don't have a lot of time. We have a rather short panel. I think Yaron is a bit MIA, probably some technical issues, but we will start because we, as I said, do not have a lot of time. We will do the following. We will start with a short introduction of each of our entities and ourselves. Essentially, it's a self-moderated session, so I can ask Oliver questions, he can ask me questions, and if Yaron joins, he can ask us both questions. We do have some prepared questions in advance, and we also would like to invite those that are listening and participating to ask questions on the chat. So we will try to leave about 2 or 3 minutes at the end to discuss those. So Oliver, let's start with a short introduction, and then I will do us and briefly, and we can dive into the subject matter.
Hey, Gary, nice to see you again, and welcome everybody. Thanks for having me. Yeah, Oliver, founder of Speed Invest. Speed Invest is a pan-European seed fund, so we invest in pretty much across Europe, from UK, London, all the way to the east. We have offices in London, Paris, Berlin, Munich, and Vienna. That's where we were born, so to say, 10 years ago. Currently managing roughly 450 million euros. Typically invest in very early stages, pre-seed, seed, and we love a couple of verticals, a couple of sectors where we focus on, which is specifically fintech, where we have a long-standing track record, marketplaces, deep tech, so anything around security, anything machine learning, open source, etc. Industrial tech, that's where we also have the office in Munich. And last but not least, health, which has become a massive driver of value and deal flow within Speed Invest. So that's roughly us. Big team. We're about 65 people plus some additional support staff. So broad team across Europe. Love to work. Also able and willing and looking forward to invest more in Israel, especially if there's a European angle, of course. So back to you, Gadi.
Thank you. So just adding a bit on what Gili said in the beginning, Bosch, I assume most of you know, it is a very large international corporate headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany. It's been around for over 130 years, and we have about 380,000 employees, between 70 and 80 billion euros in revenues. It's a private company, so not all the data is public. And the venture arm has been around since 2008. It was set up as a part of a global agenda to promote and support open innovation. And essentially, we run what we call virtual funds, which look a lot like regular funds. They have a start date and an end date and predefined size. We normally invest in early stage companies, so A, B rounds. We sometimes could do seed investments. And the topics are, or should be, strategic topics to what Bosch is doing. But Bosch, being a very diverse company, does a lot. So it ranges from semiconductors to IoT to data technologies to sensing and actuating to medical devices in some aspects, industrial technologies, obviously a lot to do with mobility, and so on. Our team is globally spread, so we have around 20 investment professionals in 5 offices. Most of them, about half, sit in Germany and cover Europe. We have a team in Silicon Valley, we have a team in Tel Aviv, and we have a team in Shanghai. Roughly, this is our 4th fund, in total about 600 million euros under management. And with this, we have Yaron, who just was found somewhere in the woods next to Berlin. Hi, Yaron. Welcome. Great that you've.
Actually, thank you. Actually, in the Samsung offices, I'm using their hospitality.
That's good. So we just, Oliver and myself, had the chance to introduce ourselves. So basically, it's your turn now, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Gadi, you're on mute, or at least
I am not on mute.
No, I can hear Gadi.
Good.
Good. So yeah, I'm Yaron. I'm one of the founders and general partners of Target Global. We are in a multinational, multi-stage fund managing about 1.5 billion euros. Pretty young. We started about 5 years ago. We invest mainly in enabling for the digital economy. Some of the notable investments that we've been involved with recently are Delivery Hero, which IPO'd in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Auto One, which IPO'd about 3 months ago. WeFox in the insurtech space. Rapid, that some of you may know, mainly investing in enabling the digital economy. We have several active funds that invest in parallel or that run in parallel, from an early stage fund that places small tickets of between €500,000 to 5 or 6 million euros, to a growth fund that places tickets up to 100 million euros. We're actually at this point we are closing an investment which is slightly higher, about 125 million. So we are breaching our barriers, and quite a wide range of activities heading into IPOs and mezzanine funding, from early stage all the way to IPO.
Great. So I think what I would like to first ask the guys on this kind of self-moderated panel with me, what are the differences in your view for Israeli startups when they're funding or exiting with European investors or acquirers? So Yaron, let's start with you.
Yeah, maybe Oliver. Yeah, I'll start. That's okay. Yeah, I think. Oh, Oliver, now you're upside down.
Sorry, for some reason I can't hear Gadi, so that makes it a bit difficult for me.
Okay. So I think one of the most interesting things to think about when you're approaching Europe is that Israelis used to think that there is a hole between Israel and the US, and basically nothing in between. This is obviously not the case. This is a big and vibrant continent, which has both a lot of economic value for not only for funding, but as a market. It is a unique market, and one needs to know how to deal with that market. But it is a very, very valid market for Israeli startups. And I think people would be well advised, especially in certain fields such as fintech, would be well advised to look at this market and understand what potential that market has, what uniqueness that market has, and what potential that market has. I'm happy to expand, Gadi, but we have such a short time that I want to give Oliver as well a chance to jump in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oliver.
So yeah, I'm having a bit of an audio problem here, but maybe let's just give you my perspective. Fundamentally, I mean, we have invested in a number of Israeli founders, many of them actually that came from Israel and then then founded their companies in Europe, targeting the European market. We also have invested in Israel, but of course for us the key element is that we can be of value, we can be of help, and that there is a big opportunity in Europe. I mean, the last 12 months, I think, have shown a massive shift in terms of opportunity. We've seen so many great deals, both this side and the other side of the continent, that the competition has just increased dramatically. For Speedinvest, we've had roughly 10,000 deals that we screened last year, just in seed and pre-seed. So there has to be a very specific angle, and that has to be quite big to get any of the VCs moving, including us, I would say.
Yeah. In the past, it used to be that Europe was seen as some sort of a fallback option if you could not raise money in the US. So do you think this is changing now, or in your view, this is still the case? And essentially, why should companies go and talk with you rather than a US investor, for that matter?
Yeah.
Yaron, it's only you left, so you can.
It's only me, yeah. So we're having a dialogue now.
You and me.
Yeah. No, I think it depends on the company, right? If a company is targeting the European market, it should raise money in Europe. If it's targeting the US market, it should raise money in the US. Very simple. We have unique access. I mean, we as European investors have unique access to the European market, especially if you're looking at fields such as industrial automation, fintech, e-commerce. I think that we present a market that is just as attractive, and in some cases more attractive than the US market. And if a company is targeting the European market, it should raise money from European investors.
Yeah, I would agree. I would also say that in the last couple of years, there's been maybe an added dimension with the trade wars between China and the US, which made sometimes the relationships with China complicated, sometimes relationship with the US complicated if you also had businesses in China. And sometimes if you had the US shareholders on the cap tables, they would find it difficult. Whereas to some extent, Europe is still in the middle in a positive way. So you're not complicating yourselves usually by having European investors or by exiting to a European company. And that's for me something that has kind of developed in probably the last 2 years in a more strong way. Anything you want to add, Oliver, to the mix?
Yeah, I think it also depends on the sector and the topic. For example, I mean, Europe has a number of advantages when it comes to everything around data protection, data privacy, the whole GDPR framework pushed a lot of innovation in Europe, and I think also the customers, the enterprise customers, are much more receptive and open to try out new things. So there's an opportunity. We've also seen simply the fact that European entrepreneurs or the European ecosystem is been used to be so frugal and capital efficient. So we invested very early on in Tier, one of the e-scooter micromobility players, and frankly, I mean, they have they've won against many of their US competitors simply because they have to be so brutally efficient. So I think there are areas where the European markets play to its strength, and the capital has by now been globalized anyway, especially for the later stage rounds. It's China, it's US, it's Europe. They all come to the same rounds, and it's pretty much level playing field by now.
Indeed. So guys, we're out of time almost. If you could give one piece of advice to entrepreneurs in 20 seconds, not more, what would that be? I will start. Come prepared and know who you're talking to. Understand your audience, both in terms of an investor or potential acquirer. It's extremely important, especially in Europe. Go, Oliver.
Yeah, I would I mean, every stage counts. So be very clear what at this stage in time of your company, if it's seed, pre-seed, Series A, what the next 12, 18 months are really important for you. If it's Europe, then go to Europe. If it's US, go to US. Don't mix it up. Don't be unclear. Have a clear view for the next 18 months and choose the right investor for that.
Cool. Yaron?
The mistake that a lot of Israeli entrepreneurs make when they come to Europe is that they think that the UK is a bridge to Europe because it is English speaking and it's convenient. It isn't. Europe is its own animal. Every country is slightly different. When you come to attack the European market, or when you come to approach the European market, maybe nicer to say, understand the differences between the country, understand the regulatory frameworks in cases where that's relevant, and understand how you approach each and one of the European markets.
Great. So we have 30 seconds. If there's any questions, I don't see any on the chat. So I think we can probably wrap up. Thank you both for the time.